The night my life shattered, it didn't start with a scream. It started with a smile. My name is Clara Evans, and for 4 years, I had ceased to exist. My sister Jessica walked into the kitchen, her face glowing with a self-satisfied radiance. Her boyfriend Marco trailed behind her, a smug grin plastered on his face. The air, thick with burnt spaghetti and exhaustion, suddenly felt heavy. "Clara," Jessica chirped, her voice sharp, "we have news." She grabbed my hand, pulling me toward the worn-out sofa. I sank into the cushions, every spring groaning in protest, a mirror to the soul-crushing ache that had been my companion for 4 years. 4 years of raising her 4 kids. 4 years since my bakery, my dream, had crumbled into dust, leaving me broke and broken, forced to move in with her to start over. But there was no starting over. There was only being consumed. "I'm pregnant," she announced, her eyes wide with manufactured excitement. "5th kid, can you believe it?" Marco nodded, patting her stomach like he'd just won a prize. My stomach twisted into a knot of pure ice. Another one. I felt the muscles in my jaw tighten. I forced a smile that felt alien on my face. "Wow, congrats." Then the other shoe dropped. "And that's why we need you to step up," Jessica said, her voice losing its sweetness. "Quit the coffee shop, be here full time." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, and we'll need you to start contributing $500 for rent. It's only fair." Before I could even process the first demand, Marco leaned forward, his voice laced with a whiny entitlement. "My hours at the warehouse got cut, Clara. Big time. We can't be expected to carry a new baby and carry you too. You live here. You need to pull your weight." Fair. The word echoed in my mind. The plate in my hand felt impossibly heavy. My fingers went numb. It slipped, crashing against the linoleum floor with a sickening crack that mirrored the sound of something breaking inside me. I stared at the shattered ceramic. I looked at their expectant, smiling faces and saw them for what they were. Not family. Parasites. My voice, when it came out, was a whisper. "I can't do this anymore." I turned and walked to my room, each step an act of rebellion. I closed the door, the click of the latch a gunshot in the silence, and then I slammed it. The entire house shuddered. It was the loudest sound I had made in 4 years. If you've ever felt trapped, carrying a weight that isn't yours to bear, you know that slam. It's the sound of a line being drawn. Smash that like button if you're ready to see how I built a wall from those broken pieces. Subscribe and hit the bell, because you won't believe what they did next to try and tear it down. And tell me in the comments, what was your breaking point? My life wasn't my own. It was a relentless loop of 5 a.m. alarms, mediating fights over Pop-Tarts, braiding Lily's hair while gulping cold coffee, and chauffeuring 4 kids to 3 different schools. It was 6 hours of forced smiles and steaming milk at the daily grind for $18 an hour, followed by homework battles and another round of fights to break up. Jessica and Marco were ghosts who only materialized to sleep or offer a mumbled thanks before disappearing again. My only escape was after midnight, hunched over my Wacom tablet, chasing a graphic design dream that felt more distant with every overdue assignment email from my professor. I wasn't living. I was a human appliance, running on fumes. Later that night, the night the plate shattered, I lay in bed, the anger leaving behind a cold clarity. I heard a rustle in the hallway. I crept to the door and peeked through the crack. There they were, unboxing 2 sleek, brand new pairs of noise-cancelling headphones. The price tag was still on one box, $400 each. "See," Jessica said, admiring them. "A necessity for the warehouse," Marco nodded. "Total investment." I felt the air leave my lungs. My inner voice screamed from the depths of my soul. They had $800 for headphones, but they wanted me, the one raising their children, to pay them rent. The selfishness, it wasn't even hidden anymore. It wasn't just unfair. It was a declaration. It told me exactly what I was worth to them. Nothing. I closed the door, my hand steady this time. The decision was no longer a question. It was a fact. I was going to get the hell out. The first call I made was to Maya, my best friend. "They want me to quit my job," I said, my voice flat, "and pay them $500 a month." There was a beat of silence. Then Maya's voice, sharp as a scalpel, cut through my fog. "Clara, they're not just using you. They are erasing you. You're not Clara Evans anymore. You're just an appliance. Get out, now." Erasing me. She was right. Adrenaline, a feeling dormant for years, shot through me. This was survival. I flipped open my laptop, its glow a beacon in the dark, and my fingers flew straight to Zillow. The numbers were terrifying, a razor's edge. But for the first time, the math felt like a puzzle, not a cage. I could do this. The next day, a new resolve settled in my bones. I wasn't just planning an escape, I was planning a transition. I couldn't just vanish. I had to arm the kids. That evening, I opened a new Google Doc. Evans Household Operating System. It felt absurd, but it was exactly what this chaotic house needed. I created tabs, a chore schedule, simple recipes, instructions for Lily's asthma inhaler. I called Leo over. He slouched into a chair. "What?" I turned my laptop toward him. "We need to talk." I showed him the document. He scoffed. "This is your job," he muttered. I gently pushed his phone down. Our eyes met. "No, Leo, this isn't a punishment. It's a life skill. I won't always be here to do this for you. You're 16. You need to know how to run a house because soon you might have to." Something in my tone made him sit up straighter. He looked at the screen. He grumbled, but he didn't argue. Later, Sophie found me. "Are you leaving because of us?" she whispered. "Are we too much?" My heart fractured. I knelt down, pulling her into a hug. "No, sweetie, never. This is about me needing my own space to breathe, to be me again." She handed me a drawing of the two of us holding hands. I clutched it like a holy relic. I moved like a spy, scheduling viewings on my lunch breaks. I found a tiny studio, signed the lease, and the stroke of the pen felt like a declaration of independence. That night I packed my essentials. My laptop, my tablet, my design books, Sophie's drawing. I hid the boxes. They wouldn't notice. I had become part of the furniture, and you don't notice a chair is gone until you try to sit on it and fall on your arse. I couldn't wait to watch them fall. The silence of my new apartment was absolute. For 3 days I just breathed, feeling the years of tension uncoil from my spine. I was free. I sent a text to Leo, promising a pizza night. Jessica's cold shoulder was a gift. I thought I had left the chaos behind. I underestimated her desperation. On the 4th day, my phone rang. An unknown number. "Is this Clara Evans?" a professional voice asked. "Yes." "This is Officer Miller from the Portland Police Bureau. We've received a complaint regarding theft and vandalism at your sister's address. Could you meet us there?" Ice flooded my veins. Vandalism, theft. The words were an accusation and a threat. My knuckles turned white as I gripped the phone. "I'll be right there." When I pulled up to the house, Jessica was on the porch, a mask of furious indignation on her face. The moment she saw me, the performance began. "There she is!" she shrieked. "The ungrateful thief! She took my money and smashed my things!" I walked towards them, a cold anger replacing the shock. I looked directly at Officer Miller. "I have no idea what she's talking about." "She took $700 in cash from my dresser, officer," Jessica cried, "and she broke the dishwasher out of spite." Marco nodded grimly. "We trusted her." I almost laughed. Officer Miller raised a skeptical eyebrow. "Let's see the damage," he said, his tone weary. Jessica led them inside. I didn't move. "I haven't been in this house in 4 days," I said, my voice ringing with clarity. "I took my clothes and my laptop. That's it. You can search my car. You can search my apartment." Officer Miller looked at Jessica. "Do you have any proof of this, Ma'am?" Her face faltered. "The money. It was in my dresser. She knew where I kept it." Before she could spin another lie, a voice cut through the tension. "She's lying." We all turned. Leo was standing in the doorway, his face tense. "Leo, that's enough," Jessica snapped, but he didn't look at her. He looked straight at Officer Miller. "My mum is lying," he repeated. "The dishwasher has been broken for 2 weeks. Marco tried to fix it and made it worse." He flicked his eyes toward Marco, who flinched. "And the money?" He pulled his phone from his pocket. "The 700? Here it is." He held the phone out. On the screen, glowing with undeniable clarity, was an email, a booking confirmation. "It's the deposit for their baby moon trip to Cannon Beach this weekend," Leo said, his voice cold as steel. "They took the cash out on Tuesday to pay for it. The email proves it." The silence that followed was absolute, a void that swallowed their lies whole. Jessica's face went from red to a pasty white. Marco looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him. Officer Miller sighed. "Ma'am, filing a false police report is a serious offence. Don't waste our time again." He nodded at me, and the officers left. The trap had snapped shut, but the bait had turned on the trapper. I walked over to Leo. "You didn't have to do that," I whispered. He finally looked at me, shrugging with a teenage nonchalance that couldn't hide the gravity of what he'd just done. "You taught me to pay attention to the details," he said, "and to tell the truth." I pulled him into a hug, burying my face in his shoulder to hide the tears of pure vindication. The crisis call came 2 months later. It was Leo, his voice tight with panic. "It's Mom. She's in the hospital. Something's wrong with the pregnancy." My first instinct was a cold, hard, "So what?" But that thought was immediately crushed by the faces of the kids. Lily's big eyes, Sophie's sadness, Leo's forced bravery. They didn't deserve to be caught in her wreckage. At the hospital, a doctor explained Jessica had severe preeclampsia. She needed complete bed rest for 3 months. I found her in her room, pale and diminished. "Clara," she whispered, "the kids, they need you." Here it was, the pull. But I was no longer a doormat. I was a wall. "I will help," I said, my voice quiet but firm. "For the kids, but on my terms." A frown creased her brow, but she was too weak to argue. "Term 1, I am not moving back in. I keep my apartment. Term 2, I am not quitting my work. My freelance clients are my priority. Term 3, Marco has to step up. This is for 3 months, then I'm done, for good." As I said the words, my own inner voice spoke to me. I was walking back in, but not to save her. This was a final strategic move. I would empower the kids to be self-sufficient, so that when I walked away this time, it would be for good, with no guilt and no strings attached. Jessica just nodded, her eyes closing. The next 3 months were a masterclass in boundary enforcement. I returned to the house, but as a project manager, not a maid. I enforced the Evans household OS. I worked on my designs while they did their chores, but at 9 p.m. every night I packed my bag and went home to my own apartment. It was the hardest and most necessary thing I'd ever done. Marco was useless. He vanished one night, leaving a text. "I can't handle this. I'm out." Weakness always recognizes weakness. They deserved each other. In the vacuum, the kids started to change. They became a team. I wasn't raising them anymore. I was guiding them. 3 months to the day, Jessica was discharged with her newborn Ben. I met her at the house. My contract was fulfilled. "I'm out, Jessica," I said. "I love the kids, but I can't be a part of this anymore. You're abandoning us. Again." she hissed. "No," I said, not even bothering to shake my head. My voice was flat steel. "I've given enough. You're their mother. Be one." She just turned away. I walked out the door and didn't look back. I couldn't leave the kids adrift. I called Maya and set up a kids fund, sending her $100 a month for supplies or a pizza night. It was support, not sacrifice. My life bloomed. The work poured in. I quit my job at the daily grind. My studio, once bare, became a vibrant testament to my reclaimed future. Through Maya, I heard of Jessica's world collapsing. She lost her job. Her neighbours stopped answering the door. The world she'd built on other people's labour was crumbling. It hurt to hear the worry in the kids' voices, but I knew getting sucked back in would save no one. One afternoon, I was in a chic cafe in Portland's Pearl District, in a big meeting. The director of marketing for a sustainable fashion startup sat across from me. This contract was a game changer. I was in my element. And then the past walked in. Jessica stood in the doorway, dishevelled and frantic. She marched towards my table. "Clara," she hissed, loud enough to make heads turn. "You have to help me. You owe me. You destroyed my family." The old Clara would have fled in shame, but the old Clara was dead. I remained perfectly still. I took a slow sip of my latte, then rose from my chair with calm authority. I looked my sister dead in the eye. My voice was low, but it cut through the silence like a razor. "Jessica, I gave you 4 years of my life. The only person who destroyed your family was you. This is my life now, my career, and you are not welcome in it. Please leave before I call security." She stared, her mouth agape. Her currency, guilt, was worthless here. Defeated, she shuffled out of the cafe, a ghost retreating into the shadows. I sat back down and turned to the marketing director, whose stunned expression had shifted into one of sharp appraisal. She gave a single decisive nod. "My apologies for the interruption," I said. She held up a hand, her eyes smiling. "No need to apologize. Anyone can make pretty designs, Clara. I'm looking for a partner who can solve problems under pressure. You just gave me the best demonstration I could ask for." She leaned forward, her decision made. "Let's talk numbers." I got the contract. That night, on my video call with the kids, Daniel proudly held up a science fair trophy. "Dee Clara, your idea worked." Lily showed me a braid she had done all by herself. "Look, I can do it now." Sophie showed me a new sketch, and Leo asked for my opinion on his college application essay. After we hung up, I leaned back in my chair. My wall was covered in my designs, my successes. My life was my own. I had built it from the ashes. And in the quiet, peaceful silence of my own home, I finally understood. Drawing a line isn't an act of aggression, it's an act of self-love. It's not about building a wall to keep others out. It's about building a foundation to hold yourself up. My story is a reminder that your dream is not a hobby, and your life is not a sacrifice for someone else's convenience. If you have ever had to draw a line and choose your own path, share that experience in the comments below. What was the moment that made you realize you had to put yourself first? Your story might be the inspiration someone out there needs to hear today. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for more stories about reclaiming justice and building the life you deserve.